Greetings, Taku Faithful. Thank you for joining me again this week. Once again, this is Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, and I'm here to bring you all yet again another The Flash episode review right here on Otaku Assemble Weekly. And as always, here to bring you the latest in this week's The Flash episode reviews. And this is my review of Season 2, Episode 17, entitled Flashback. Now, general thoughts on this week's episode. I thought it was a much better episode than last week. And however, I do still have some issues, some concerns with the whole time travel bit, because this was another time travel episode, which I'll get into more detail on that later in this review. So, jumping into the episode, as I mentioned, we had another time travel episode, and the idea this time around was that Barry went back in time to actually seek out Eobard Thawne to get him to teach him the scientific formula in which to increase his speed. Now, what I do find funny about this, as one of my viewers pointed out in my Supergirl episode review from last night, when I mentioned that Flash's appearance in the episode, in the crossover event, the fact that Flash had acquired the ability to move fast enough to travel to the alternate Earths. And I kept thinking, we haven't gotten that in his own show. How was that possible? How did he learn to do that? And one of my viewers pointed out in the comments section of my Supergirl review that, oh, this episode should have played before the Supergirl episode because this had the information to fill in, to answer that question. Barry seeks out Eobard Thawne, and of course, immediately Thawne is able to figure out that this is a Barry from another time period. And by and large, the majority of the episode is them figuring out how to increase his speed while dealing with what is called a time wraith. A time wraith, from what my understanding of it is, this is a countermeasure to prevent speedsters from being able to use the speed force to go back and forth throughout time. This is supposed to be the deterrent, if you will, because a time wraith is responsible for tracking down a speedster and apprehending them, well, killing them, but pretty much preventing them from altering the time stream any further. Okay, so, and then by the end of the episode, Barry returns to his own time, the time wraith is defeated, and he acquires the information from Eobard Thawne to create a tachyon enhancer, much like the one Thawne used in Season 1. And that was the device that Barry had when he arrived in Supergirl's universe in the crossover episode. So, alright, couple of things to talk about. First and foremost, let's just get the time travel issue out of the way, because as I've said multiple times, I don't care for the way they handle time travel in the Flash series, and that's because, contrary to what's done in the comics, Barry very often will travel throughout time without any consequences, without any repercussions, not any immediate foreseeable ones. It seems like if there is one, it doesn't happen until much later, and it seems like at that point the writers just decided to throw something else in there, but they never intended for him to suffer anything the first time he did it. Okay, here's the thing. In the comics, the reason why Barry and the rest of the Flashes, Jay, Wally, Bart, they do time travel, but it's very seldom and it's never without great risk. In the comics, there are always consequences, there are always repercussions for them going back in time, altering the time stream, and more often than not, the way it plays out in the comics is whenever they get back to their current time, there is always some major change to the status quo. There's some new element, some new conflict that is presented as a result of their time travel. The show, I think, doesn't do a well enough job to reinforce that, because we've seen Barry go back in time and change things and nothing's really happened by the time he got back. Now, there have been times like earlier in the season when Cisco almost phased out of existence because, once again, it was sort of it was a repercussion of Barry's time travel. Also, when Eobard Thawne showed up in this season, once again. Now, granted, I still don't understand how that worked because he shouldn't exist at all, but it was another repercussion of messing with the time stream. So they introduced the idea of a time wraith, an entity whose sole purpose is to track down speedsters and stop them from traveling throughout time. Okay, that's all fine and dandy, but number one, this time Wraith isn't very formidable in my opinion because he's easily defeated through sound waves, sound frequencies, and then also this begs another question because they do bring this up in the episode. Why is this the first time we're getting one? With as much time travel as we've had, why is this the first time we're getting a time Wraith? Also, better question. Time travel is the whole premise behind Legends of Tomorrow. Do the Time Masters not have to deal with time wraiths? Are they the ones in charge of keeping and administering, letting loose the time wraiths? You know, do they raise and train these entities? We don't know. Once again, it just felt like something that the writers threw in there just so that we could have some type of conflict for Barry. Now, granted, for the fact, here's the thing. The whole thing about Barry going back in time and Thawne figuring out that he's from the future, I think that was enough conflict for the entire episode. The Time Wraith at that point really did just feel like it was tacked on there. So I didn't really think it was needed. And once again, I don't think it was an as formidable countermeasure to the time travel. That wasn't a proper deterrent. I don't think that's going to stop Barry from time traveling again in the future. So that's just my thoughts on that. Let's see. Other than that, though, the Tachyon Enhancer, I thought that was a pretty cool idea because, once again, it follows up, it reinforces the continuity they've already set up in the series. The idea that Barry had to seek out help from a rival, and a hated rival at that, the man who killed his mother, and who set all of this into action. I thought that was kind of cool. I like the thing with Eddie. I did sort of like that. I like how they decided to build up on the potential romance/relationship that Iris is setting up with her editor. We started up on that last week, and now we're following that up this week with, you know, memories of Eddie and actually seeing him on screen and this, that, and the other. That I thought was okay, but that's pretty much the crux of the episode. So once again, like I said, better episode than last week. I still have my issues with the time traveling in this series, though, because I don't think that they are. I don't think that they really follow through the way they should with it. I don't think they're consistent with it. So hopefully that will improve as the series continues. So I want to thank you. That's going to conclude my Flash episode review. I want to thank you all for joining me again this week. And in the comments below, leave your thoughts on this week's episode. And if you like this video, please feel free to thumb it up. Feel free to share this video with friends, family, other viewers, other fans of The Flash, if you think they would enjoy it. And if you want to keep up with my videos, be up to date with my videos, please feel free. Subscribe to the OAW YouTube channel. Annotation will be above head. So join me tomorrow night for my Arrow episode review. And with that being said, this has been Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, signing off. And until next time, peace.